Hello, Star Wars and unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba, Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba. Today, we have a Hot Toys item. There were two that were delivered here, and I am not 100% sure which one this is. I am taking a gamble, or guess, at where it says here on the box, SW4 might mean one thing. I'm going to take a guess. There are two figures that I'll be doing an unboxings with. One today and one in a future episode. One of them, I believe, is Grand Moff Tarkin from episode 4, hence the SW4. And the other one is Princess Leia in her Hoth gear from Empire Strikes Back. The only way I have to go, I'm sure that people who are watching this who are totally into all of these specific items and item numbers and everything else are very much aware. But for anybody who's a little bit less knowledgeable like myself, I'm not exactly sure which one it is. So, we'll open it up and we will see. Before we do that, just wanted to quickly give you any news updates. At this point, there wasn't much in the last couple of days of news. I'm sure, remember I record these sometimes a few days in advance. So if some major Star Wars announcement dropped between now and then, don't blame me. I will get to it eventually. The one slightly big, if you want to call it news, was a notice given in an interview by John Williams, composer, that after Episode 9, he thinks he's pretty much done with Star Wars, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think that John Williams, who just turned 86, has done an amazing job on the entire Star Wars saga. I think, when you think about the amount of work every individual does for the movies, even so far as to look at someone like George Lucas, who did an amazing amount of work for the first 6. But when you consider that he's no longer involved at all with the new sequel trilogy, other actors that maybe have only been in small, one movie here, one movie there, plus the original trilogy. You have actor Anthony Daniels, who has made an appearance in every Star Wars film so far. But when you consider the amount of hours worked to produce music for literally nearly 2 hours of music for every episodic Star Wars movie, obviously not Rogue One, but every episodic Star Wars movie thus far, you got to give props to John Williams for going on what he once called a life's work journey, and I think that was fantastic. I mentioned that while he was nominated for an Oscar, he didn't win. I'm kind of okay with that. I feel that while he did an amazing job, I love his score for The Last Jedi, but I love it for its nostalgic aspect. And quite frankly, that's all it needed for this particular episode. I think Force Awakens, I feel personally that might have been a better contender and probably should have won. No, nothing against the composer of, what was it? I forget, The Hateful Eight or whatever the movie that won. But no one can hum those themes. But every person on the street can, if you hum the themes to Rey's theme or Kylo Ren's theme, a lot of people will know it, even if they don't know why they know it. They've just heard it because it's, John Williams' music transcends pop culture. Really does, and the themes last. And that's what he did for The Last Jedi. Just there was no need to write new music. There was a lot of revisitation. You had Yoda. You had Luke and Leia at the very end. You had, excuse me for the light flicker there. You had Luke and Leia at the end. You had, oh my goodness, even the return of going through the Crate caverns and a return to the kind of Death Star trench or Escape from Death Star music. And I was okay with that. Some people thought he should have written something new. I said, it's a chase scene. I mean, how much more new do you need? He did a lot of that for the episode 7, so that's why I felt that one had a better shot and probably was more deserving of an Oscar. But whatever, here and there, everywhere. He's still the most nominated living person on the planet, and I applaud him. I've had the privilege of being able to see him in concert, conducting his music twice, and I would advise anybody who has the ability to do this, if he's performing in your local city, go see him. Okay, these people, the original creators of Star Wars and other pop culture phenomenon, are all starting to, let's face it, time is marching on. They're not going to be with us forever. And take advantage of it. take advantage of them, especially someone like John Williams, who's very, he exposes a lot of his abilities and whatnot on the concert stage. So you can go out and see him. All right, so he announced he's done, which, if that is indeed the case, good for him. He gave us something so amazing. And I do believe that since almost every other aspect, if not every other aspect of the Star Wars movie making business has been passed down to a new generation, I think the music needs to do that as well. Michael Giacchino did a phenomenal job on Rogue One, both with his own stuff and using some of John Williams' music. So I'm all for it. So let's see what happens. But that's the only news I have right now. Okay, other than I mentioned the Hasbro Jabba's sail barge business. Still kind of at the halfway point, just a little under halfway. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so we have, again, this is Sideshow Hot Toys. And I'm going to be very careful cutting here because I do not want to cut the interior box. All right. And let's see. We'll find this out together. Is it Tarkin or is it Leia? It is Tarkin. Yes. Star Wars SW4. Okay. So, always been a fan of Tarkin. Always been a fan of his character. Always felt that he was grossly underrepresented in the original days. Although I can understand why to some degree. I mean, let's face it, he was more, when they were making Star Wars figures in the 70s and 80s, they were looking for figures that were exotic or were action-oriented. And let's face it, when you first see Grand Moff Tarkin, he really isn't. He's more cunning. He's more of a kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. So, but I'm really happy that they came up with one with a figure. And maybe his reintroduction to the series with Rogue One was part of the reason for that. Ooh, this is interesting. I don't know if you can see this picture, but he's sitting in his chair from the round table, conference table. I hope they make that chair someday. That would be kind of fun. So let's pull this out. Okay. Oh, they do! He does have the chair! Oh my god, this is so exciting! He has the chair! Oh, I am so excited! That might have been part of the exclusive. Alright, that might have been the exclusive. But I cannot tell you how excited I am that he has the chair. Alright. So, it's a chair. It's like Barbie with the dream house and all the different furniture and everything else. By the way, one piece of news that I do want to share. For those who have Netflix, The Toys That Made Us. It's a great little documentary series that does kind of a nice, fun, telling the dramatic stories of toy franchises. There are 4 episodes. Of course, Star Wars is one of them, and Barbie, and G.I. Joe, and Barbie, G.I. Joe. I honestly can't remember the 4th one. Sorry. You lost me after Star Wars. But anyway, the fact that they do have He-Man. He-Man is the 4th one. But they do have really fascinating stories. And what's really cool is that each of the episodes has a couple of moments that they do one of those reenactments. So that's kind of a cool thing. So highly recommend watching it. The Star Wars story part is absolutely fascinating. Really, really cool. Oh my God, this is just too awesome. Okay, he's got a lot of plastic on him. I have to be extra careful here. Boots. Okay, thank you, Hot Toys. What I'll try to do, I gotta look for it, but I have somewhere around here, I have a Grand Moff Tarkin, as I try to do from previous episodes. I have a couple of the 12-inch, I've been collecting the 12-inch figures since they originally came out. It's so funny, like, he was a very slender man. He was a very slender, actor, Peter Cushing. He was in his older ages back then. So, I think it's pretty cool the way they do it. Now, all right, let me see here. Yeah, rather than do the base, I'm going to definitely sit him in the chair. And the chair, wow, the chair is... Now my question is, how long is it going to be before they have the full, all the characters? Okay, funny story. You're not going to believe this one, but I want to talk a little bit about the chair and the history. Oh, this got a little... Oops, guess what I just did? I just broke it off. Okay, we'll leave it there. It snapped back in. That's good. Okay, there we go. All right, let me get this cleaned up here. But a little bit of there's one more thing I have to do before I put him in the chair. One more thing. All right, he has his little data cylinders. So I believe what these little things are, these little tiny little pin kind of size things, these are essentially flash drives. I do believe that is what they are. They are flash drives. The 1970s, predating any real version of them. And that's what, I believe he had 2 on either side. And I like them. I think it's really cool. I don't know if that's something that they've retconned or if it was just something, something that they said, well, it looks cool to have that on there, so let's do that. And then later, you got to remember when Star Wars movie first came out, all they had was the movie and a couple of book tie-ins. There wasn't much else to it. Okay, he comes with some hands, but I think I'm going to just leave his current hands because I have not had the best of luck with the hands. All right, so let me get all this. All right. I do keep these packages. The one item is, for the price that you pay for these, which they're fairly expensive. For the price that you pay for them, it's nice that they they have it packaged in just such a way that you could virtually put the whole thing back in its box if you wished to store it or sell it or move it on, do something else. And you could have pretty much a virtual mint figure, okay? All right, I'll get you in the chair in a minute. So before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the chair. All right, first off, so my family has a business. It's one I'm not in, but my father, my mother, my brother all run it. It's a used office furniture warehouse. And they've been running this for about roughly 25 years. And so, as a result, I'm kind of familiar with furniture history, and I wanted to point out something that I laughed at that nobody else would pretty notice, and I want to use the bottom of the chair. Note that there are 4 legs and 4 wheels, okay? This is a very uncommon chair. In fact, you will not see it for sale anywhere in this day and age. It has been since replaced, that's like a 4-point or a 4-star. It's been replaced by a 5-star for better stability. Because these chairs were around in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, and their problem is that if you weren't careful, you could tip over very, very easily. So there you go, a little office furniture trivia. So if you're ever watching an old movie or a movie that's set in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you see chairs that have 5-star, 5 legs instead of 4, or 5 wheels instead of 4, be warned that they probably had very little budget and they couldn't get vintage chairs or have them made, so they had to just go with something that looked vintage, and that was it. So anyway, there's your chair trivia. All right, Tarkin, let's see how well you do sitting in this. All right, got his arms up. Okay, let's set you up here. Sitting in chairs, it's not always an easy thing. Okay, and there he is. All right, Tarkin. I just said, now, of course, if we were going to actually make the conference table, you're talking something that will go from about here to almost where the camera starts. So that would be a pretty big thing. You have Vader standing here. I do believe the Vader is up for, or a Vader, and I think they've released it a few times. I have to look to see. I don't know if I've actually gotten Vader. But standing Vader next to Tarkin, I think, is a very nice thing. So. All right, beautiful sculpt. I mean, there's never any complaints about Hot Toys. Their designs are incredible. They're using the scanning technology. Of course, he never was around to have his face scanned, so they did that, basically utilizing. I'm trying to decide, looking at his face, if they utilized just drawings and I know they had a life mask of Peter Cushing. That's one of the ways that they were able to replicate his facial features and structure so well in Rogue One. Okay, so that might be where they had a lot of the same technology. They kind of share their information. So really fantastic. Doesn't really come with much other than the data cylinders and the chair. I'm not 100% sure if that was an exclusive item or not. The wheels on the chair, I mean, again, the office furniture family business in me laughs at the chair because it had I did just accidentally break off the fake tightener. It has like a tighten screw on the bottom that you use to kind of adjust the seat. It's an old way of doing and adjusting. And I thought it was to lock in the thing, and it just snapped right off. My only complaint about Hot Toys is that, because it's not meant to be a playable toy, it's more of a display piece. They treat it with a little more delicate materials that they can achieve a greater, facsimile to the real thing, but in miniature. Similar to the way that train sets use a lot of styrene and resin to give you the realism of the backdrops and the buildings, but they are very, 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 very fragile. So you have to be careful with all of Sideshow Hot Toys. Same goes true for Gentle Giant. Really, anything that is not a toy, but instead really just I hate to sound like the cliche, but a collectible. You got to be very careful with those because they are meant to be on display. And the most perfect way to do it is to put them in a display area, surrounded by glass, nice lighting, which of course, I don't have a lot of that, so I only have a little bit of that, so it's hard to do that. But anyway, so that is our episode this week, or this part of the week. And but I sometimes forget to mention, just to put on the tail end of the show, is to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. Why are some people saying smash that notification button? I've noticed that on some YouTube channels. Smash the notification button. Okay. I don't know why, but fine, smash it. And just don't hurt your computer. And then you can also check me out at Darth Tuba on Twitter and Instagram. Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook. Like it. Become a part of that community if you like. And again, spread the word. All right, let's get other people knowing about my channel. Again, it's a basic channel. We're not doing anything crazy here. I'm just sharing my love of collecting and my love of the Star Wars franchise. And unboxing of wonderful toys and collectibles. I'm sharing it with the world, whoever wants to see it. So thank you again. And even though Tarkin would say, I can't ask Tarkin to say, "May the Force be with you," because that's an ancient religion as far as he's concerned. But I will say it. Thank you for watching. May the Force be with you.